Welcome back, or welcome for the first time to our journey through the scriptures. Today we're talking about Exodus chapter 35 in 5 minutes. There's going to be a PDF that pops up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. It has all the information I'm going to read. And you can download it for free on our website at tobelikechrist.com, and there's a link down in the description. As far as Exodus chapter 35, when did these events happen? Well, the children of Israel, the Israelite nation, also known as the Hebrews, they got out of slavery in Egypt in about 1491 BC. God delivered them from the Egyptians. The events of Exodus chapter 35 specifically take place somewhere between 4 to 6 months after they achieved their freedom. In terms of our main characters, we have Moses, who was a Hebrew, but he actually grew up in the house of Pharaoh. God used Moses to deliver the people of Israel from slavery. Then we have, the Israelites, or the Hebrews. They were the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and God had blessed them to become a very great nation with many, many people. Then we have two interesting guys in this chapter, Bezalel and Hololia. These were two men who were especially gifted with the Spirit of God to work in the trades, the crafts, to be able to build the special items that were going to go into the tabernacle. As we look down at our map, you'll see there at the bottom, Mount Sinai. That is where we are located in this chapter. The children of Israel are camped around Mount Sinai. And now for our outline, our first section, verses 1 through 3. We're going to talk about additional instructions for keeping the Sabbath day commands. So Moses gathered all of the Israelites to him, and he shared the laws that he had received from God when he was talking to him up on Mount Sinai. In regards to the Sabbath day law, the Israelites were supposed to work 6 days, and then they were to rest on the 7th day. They weren't even to kindle a fire on the Sabbath day. It was supposed to be a special day based off of God's creation week, how God created the world in 6 days, and then he rested on the 7th. This patterned that. Anyone caught breaking the Sabbath was to be put to death, so this was very serious. Then in the biggest section of this chapter, verses 4 through 29, there is a contribution that's taken up for the construction of the tabernacle. So Moses invited any one of the people who had a generous heart to contribute a number of things: gold, silver, bronze, blue and purple and scarlet yarn, fine twine linen, goat's hair, ram skin, acacia wood, oil, spices, onyx stones, or precious stones. Anyone who had any of those could, of their own free will, contribute them so that the tabernacle could be built, because these were the items that were needed to do the construction. He also invited any craftsmen among the people to volunteer their skills to build part of the tabernacle. Verses 11 through 19 list all of the important pieces that needed to be built in order for this construction to come together. And I've just summarized that very quickly rather than listing them all, because I think we've talked about several of them already, if not all of them. The people heard this invitation and they accepted it. They gave very generously both of their possessions and of their talents. And then finally, in verses 30 through 35, we're going to talk about Bezalel and Hololia. So God gifted men special skill, intelligence, and craftsmanship to work in the tabernacle. 2 men specifically received, seems like a special blessing. Bezalel and Hololia were empowered by the Spirit of God to, quote, devise artistic designs, to work in gold and silver and bronze, in cutting stones for setting, and in carving wood, for work in every skilled craft. The men were also inspired to teach other people how to build particular articles that were going to go into the tabernacle. And now finally, for our application. Generosity should come naturally to us when we understand how generous and how gracious God has been with us. You notice that God didn't compel the Israelites to give their contributions. They were free will offerings. Anyone who wanted to could, and if you didn't want to, you didn't have to. Modern Christians are not commanded to give a certain amount of their income to the poor or to the church, but a genuine Christian who understands how good God has been to them will not see that as an opportunity to be stingy. Christians should be the most generous people of all because they know that they have received the greatest gift of all, and that is Jesus.